Sorry, I stood up a little early, so you guys can stretch. Larry, you want to lead us? Be respectful of the box cast starts right at 11:15, but there's a little delay, so we're going to wait 30 seconds. Is that usually enough? Maybe a minute?
You can start right at 11:15.
Are you sure? I've always been respectful of the delay.
It's 11:15.
All right. That's official City Hall time.
For a day or so.
I've seen him do that before.
Falls down, it's
All right, good morning. We'll call the Board of Works meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Got a lot to do this morning, so let's get right at it. We'll start with the approval of the minutes from the February 19th meeting. Those were presented.
I didn't say anything, did you? I'll move we approve the minutes.
Second.
Any further discussions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Let the minutes reflect we're all present in person today. City attorney's here today. We are joined by Leah Till from MACOG, who will have some discussion, I'm sure, as we move along. So, again, recognizing our visitors here this morning, thank you. I want you to note under report, oral and written communications, there's nothing in there at this point. However, I will ask you to move item 26 up into reports, oral and written communications. This is just the adjustments, the wastewater payment office February adjustments for 2021. There's no action required on those, but they are published at the meeting for everyone to see. So we won't be considering item 26. We won't need to, so you can take a look at that. So let's move into new business with no unfinished business on the agenda. We'll start with the award of the traffic signal modernization at Center and Lake and Center in Indiana. Dustin?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Based on a review, last Board of Works meeting, we opened up, had 4 contractors with the bid quotes for the 2 intersections to redo the traffic signals and the crosswalks and such. So therefore, through USI and our city engineers review, we are making the recommendation to go ahead and award Hawk Enterprises the contract for the project. That total was $443,414.30.
All right. Questions?
I move to accept.
I'll second that.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor say aye of
Aye.
awarding the traffic signal modernization contract.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thanks Dustin, appreciate all your work. James, thanks for your work on that too. The Pike Lake Shoreline Restoration recommendation, Ryan, are you going to make that recommendation to the board?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And so likewise, last time we were here, we tabled it so we could review it with our city engineer as well as the engineers that we were going with Cardno. And we had 5 base bids, and we're going to go forward with the recommendation of G&G Hauling based off of the review of both Cardno and the city engineer. And the base bid would be a total of $157,998.00.
And noted that was the low bid.
Mm-hmm.
What was the amount again? Which one? The G&G, there it is.
The amount?
Yeah, no, I see it. I'm sorry. Thank you.
It was 157,980, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
I'll move we approve the recommendation.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor of awarding the bid to G&G Hauling for shoreline restoration on Pike Lake? Say aye.
Aye.
I agree.
Aye. All right, thank you. I get ahead of myself, sorry about that. There's a lot to say. Never mind. All right, Paula is joining us this morning, our downtown coordinator, and we're looking at, we'll just consider these 3 road closures. I'll ask you to go through each one of them, then we'll consider them collectively. So you want to start with First Friday closures?
Yeah, we're starting First Friday in May and continuing through the first of the year. And with that, I have lost my male helpers due to my husband having a quintuple bypass. So he's not going to be able to haul the barricades and things for me anymore. So I would love it if the street department could put them out. I'll work on taking them back at the end of the event. But that would be super helpful.
Yeah, well, let's have that discussion outside of here.
Okay.
What we're considering right now is just those closures, which there are no different closures than, and you all see the schedule, it's listed here.
Yeah.
The extended closure for August for the car show is the only one that's not the standard T.
Okay, so that'll go down, that will also include Market Street
Yes,
between Indiana and Lake, and then,
down to the parking lot.
okay,
The
so
tracks,
so the
ish.
tracks will still be
The
open.
Glam and Expressions.
Yep, okay,
So we'll keep the parking lots open.
all right. These are, as noted, all subject to COVID-19 restrictions.
Correct.
But we're certainly anxious to get back, and we need to prepare for that, and to do that, part of the process is to make sure those roads are closed. So any questions on the road closures themselves?
Thanks, Paula, for your leadership.
All right, let's look at the second Christmas tree lighting.
And we've done that one for the past 2 years. It usually is not on First Friday. It is usually on Thanksgiving weekend. And we call it the 25 days till Christmas to get everybody prepped for the season and kind of start the shopping season off with a bang.
All right, and then the third one is the Spooktacular.
Correct. And that one is our usual street closure, extended down to Glam. And we'll have hopefully back to normal where we can do the costume judging and the walk around rather than by the car, which we did last
Yeah,
year.
the drive-through.
Yeah.
So again, these are all somewhat back to normal requests. We all know we had to pivot last year. We may have to again this year. Hopefully we won't. But I just understand that all these requests are subject to COVID, and Paul and I have talked about that. It's on the request, so we just want to get this out of the way. Any questions on items 3 through 6?
No, I want to say again, thank you for your service and leadership, and sorry, Merritt, and you want to approve all 3 at
Yeah.
one time? Okay. I move to approve items 3, 4, and 5 on the agenda.
I'll second that.
All right, any further discussion or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, Paul, you can get back with me on that
Okay.
other item. We'll take care of that.
Thank you much.
All right, good seeing you. All right, item 6, Chief, I saw you come in. You've got several things here you want to come up and talk about. First one is the agreement with our township attorney.
This went to Fire Territory Board on the 2nd. It's continuation with Beers, Mallers, Backs, and Solon for Andrew Grosnickle to be the township attorney
Well, the fire territory.
for Fire Territory. Yeah, what I said, township.
You said
Yeah,
township.
Fire Territory attorney.
Okay, questions?
No, I'll move to approve that agreement.
Second.
Any further discussion? I would just add Andrew's done a very good job for the fire territory, and
Yes.
the board was certainly, by their approval, supportive of rehiring him, so. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, item 7, this was also presented to the Fire Territory Board earlier this week, involves similar to the Police Academy. This would be a Fire and Rescue Academy.
Following the superb job that the police department's done with the Citizens Academy, we've looked across the United States and noticed that the fire service is doing about the same thing. So this is a preliminary schedule we're bringing to the public. It went to the Territory Board, was approved to move forward with. We're bringing it to the Board of Public Works for your support. There is a schedule that's a tentative schedule that's attached to the backside of that for you to review and for your information. Police Department did a great job. They've had a huge success, and we're hoping that ours is just as good as what theirs is.
Mike, would you just talk a little bit about how many folks you anticipate?
We're looking at doing up to 15, and depending on, if you look at the schedule, you'll see that it's set up at the fire stations out at the training center. Fire stations will use the equipment bay. It's done at the latter part of the year during warm weather, so we can remove the apparatus in the event that we have COVID restrictions still. We'll be able to do it there. And then when we're outside at the training center, there's a huge area that we're able to stay 6 feet apart. We'll be having people wearing turnout gear for their own safety. They'll have opportunity to work just like a firefighter and learn the jobs that we do.
So the potential COVID-19 restrictions were addressed, make sure that they were incorporated into this plan, and the Fire Territory Board was satisfied that that's happened. So any questions?
No, I'll move to approve.
I really appreciate your efforts, the police department, reaching out to the community. You've got people like me that might be interested in just learning, and then you may have people, I might want to be a firefighter, I might want to be a police officer. I think it's a great way to connect. I really appreciate it, Chief, and thanks, Chief of Police, as well. I'll second that motion.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Yeah, and I would just echo the same thing. I think it's a great way to reach out to the
Yeah.
community. And I know they have a lot of fun at the Police Academy, and I'm sure citizens just being able to see what's actually being done is a great thing. So,
Sounds like you have a potential candidate over there.
Yes, and we're
Yep.
really hoping that Fire Territory Board members and the Board of Works and City Council gets to be involved so we can use them as our guinea pigs.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
yeah, we might challenge all the elected officials to sign up. So I'll leave it at that for right now. All right, item 8 would be the generator maintenance agreement for fire. This also includes a portion for the police generator. My assumption, again, this went through the Fire Territory, and we approved it. It appears that it's, wasn't there just a slight increase?
$71.80 increase between the 1920 contract to the 21 contract. It does include all 3 fire stations and the police department. And we've been very satisfied with using Cummins, and I believe the police department has also.
Questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Maintenance, very important on generators.
Yes, it
We have
is.
one that's 21, 22 years old, runs like a top, but we have it maintained every year.
Yeah, and they come in twice a year. They do a spring and fall.
Yeah.
The spring, when they check it over, and fall, they come back and make sure it's ready for winter.
Yeah, good.
Well, you'd hate for the fire alarm to go off in a storm and you can't get the garage doors open.
Yeah,
So
it wouldn't be,
I'm sure there's ways to get them open, but that's always my example.
be a heavy door.
All right, let's go to item number 9. This is the Warsaw Wayne Township Fire Territory has asked to host Dive Rescue International training in Warsaw. Again, Fire Territory Board approved this. We had significant discussion. In fact, I asked to table this last month to make sure that all questions were answered with regards to code restrictions, locations, numbers, and this will provide a significant benefit to the city in that we'll get a lot of first-class training. I think we get 5 spots for each 15 that sign up. And we're looking at potentially 5 spots.
Yes, we are. They handle all, Dive Rescue International, who's the police department. You have a joint team. It's one team here. It's the police department and fire department working together. I want to comment that Costa County Sheriff's Department divers have been coming on board and working with us, and so are the DNR. So here's an opportunity to bring Dive Rescue International that both agencies have used for quite a while, being able to host it here. You've got a lot of water in our location. Instead of the chief and I sending guys out of state or away from here and paying hotel and everything, we're able to host it here. Dive Rescue International works with handling all the registration. We provide them transportation from the airport, their instructors from the airport to here. They take care of their own hotel, and we provide them a building of location for in-house training. It's going to be, the in-house training is going to be done inside the fairgrounds, and depending on COVID restrictions, we're either going to use the Shrine Building or the Women's and Family Arts Building. So it's a great opportunity to allow them to come here to our community to host their trainings, and hopefully, we're pretty sure that it's going to fill up, and then the guys will be able to have some free slots that we'll be able to get into the class.
Questions?
No, I'll move to approve.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank
All
you.
right, thanks,
Thank
Chief.
you very much.
Appreciate it. All right, Stacy from the Mayor's Office will present a fiber service agreement for the Center Lake Pavilion.
Yes, this is a 36-month agreement for fiber service to be run to the Center Lake Pavilion. So this is being paid for out of the parks budget. I'm just presenting it as our fiber point of contact for the city. By doing a 36-month agreement, which is standard for what we've done elsewhere in the city, we are not having to pay the build-out costs for them to bore the fiber to the building. So, and this also will tie into our fiber network for the city. It will not be a standalone service. So we'll have greater control over content filtering and throttling speeds and things like that that we would need to do, given that there might be events and whatnot taking place in that building.
We started looking at this a few months ago, looking at potentially importance of, I know the Red Cross hosts several blood mobiles down there, and they need the internet service. We're looking at, we've talked a little bit up, if we end up with a vaccination clinic down there, we'll need to access the state's registration website, and we'll need the fiber and the capability. And I know, Larry, you're using that to run your cameras, and there's a lot of reason to do that, and we've been kind of limping along with as Larry explained, a bridge system or something. If you've got a question, ask Larry about that, or Stacy. But the point is, this will give us a direct fiber connection to the pavilion, which is, again, used by a lot of groups. Just a quick question. Will there be Wi-Fi access around the building, like a public Wi-Fi?
I don't know how far Larry plans to take it initially. I know that's been part of the conversation longer term, but this would enable that to take place.
To happen.
Right. It can all run off of the same fiber connection.
Got it.
To that building. So this is the first step to internal Wi-Fi, external Wi-Fi, whatever they want to look at that point.
So the focus is just getting connected down there right now?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I move to approve.
I'll second that.
All right, any other questions or discussions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thanks,
Thank you.
Stacy. Appreciate it. Sheila's going to ask for permission for a DNR grant.
I am. I actually have numbers 11 and 12, and they kind of go together. So if I could explain both at the same time, and then we can consider separately if you would like.
Sure.
A couple of months ago, I came to you and asked for permission to apply for a K-21 grant to potentially move Manta Skate Park from Boggs to Richardson Du Bois. We did receive a $150,000 grant from the K-21 Foundation to go toward that project. However, it is contingent on the DNR grant. So that's what I'm asking permission to apply for today. The DNR Land and Water Conservation Fund grant is a $250,000 grant, and it has to be matched 50-50. The K-21 grant does take care of part of that match. The park has pledged a portion of that, leaving $50,000 for me to raise to complete that project and complete the match for the DNR Land and Water Conservation Act grant. The DNR grant does go in June 1st. I've been working on that. So I guess to go back to the list, the item number 11 is the DNR permission to apply for the DNR Land and Water Conservation Act grant, which is a 50-50 match.
Questions?
No, I'll move to approve the permission to apply.
For the DNR.
grant.
With the DNR, right?
Yeah,
That
the
one?
DNR,
Okay, second.
All right, any further questions or discussion?
That park is going to be on the, is it the west side? Which side? Where you?
It will be where the backdrop is nearest to Dollar General.
That's what I thought. Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's what I was looking, thank you.
And it was part of the Stellar project.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so this is kind of the last piece of that puzzle to be put in.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? All right,
And then
then,
going back to number 12,
Yes.
that is asking for acceptance for the K-21 grant that was received contingent upon the DNR grant being granted.
Move to approve.
Second?
just like to comment, we're all certainly appreciative of K-21's commitment to our community to health and recreation, and especially these outdoor opportunities. You know, that's a significant contribution from them in leveraging that money with the DNR. Is going to get a really significant project done for the community, be along Market Street there. Again, it's great. Appreciate you mentioning Stellar, because these projects all seem to be happening without Stellar, and that's fine. Maybe took a little bit longer, but maybe not. Maybe they got done a little bit sooner. So at any rate, we're certainly appreciative of K-21 and their generosity. So I don't want that to go unnoticed. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, Sheila, thanks for all your work on that. Sheila, if that grant, if the DNR grant, when are we to hear about that? Any idea?
It is due June 1st. They said it would probably be late September before they did awards.
So there probably wouldn't be any action to move until
Not till mid-2020, or I'm sorry, 22.
mid-2022 would be the
yes.
actual relocation.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Again, thanks for all your work on that. Excuse me. All right, item 13 is Park and Rec 5-year master plan. Larry, before I ask you to start, I want to thank you and the park board. I know this may seem like a requirement or something you always do, but this is extremely helpful from our planning, from our budgeting. You know, we talk about our comprehensive financial plan, and, you know, we look at our capital projects, and Larry's got his projects laid out because of this master plan, and I think today you're asking to review a contract for the master plan.
I can kind of show you in our master plan book. I mean, these are the check marks of the years that the projects that we did, and so it's a great tool for our department. And speaking with that, it's also a requirement so that Sheila can apply for that DNR grant. I mean, we've got to have this 5-year master plan in place for that. So, and it also gives us an opportunity to do a 10-year maintenance program. So, I mean, we're moving things up so Sean can look, 10 years down the road at what equipment we need, what things we need to replace, how we need to do things in our buildings. And it's just a great plan, and it's worked over the years. So I would ask that you would approve that for us.
I move to accept.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
All right.
Larry, thank you,
Thank you.
and the park board. This is always good to know that's in the process. I think, Johnny, you're going to present the complete streets policy.
It is a resolution.
Hi, so I'm just presenting the complete streets policy that the planning department as well as the streets department has been working on for quite some time now. I am giving you just an overview of it so that at a future meeting it can be considered for adoption by the city. Basically, what Complete Streets are making sure that our transportation networks within the city have considered every possible user. Historically, just cars were primarily considered. This takes into account those who maybe walk, ride bikes, or other forms of transportation. What this means is no matter where you want to go in Warsaw and how you're doing it, eventually there are safe options for all to get where they need to be. These policies have become increasingly common across the United States with greater than 1,600 policies around the entire country. Many of our peer cities, such as Plymouth, Culver, Peru, and Fort Wayne, have adopted similar policies, as well as Maycog, and our community has already been making these steps towards considering all users on our roadways and transportation networks. The planning department, the street department, and other just organizations throughout the city have been working hard with this, for instance, Ride Walk. This is just more of a official formalized document that creates a unified approach in the city. These policies are considered to address many concerns within the city, such as health and safety, equity and accessibility, economic development, quality of life, and sustainable development. Now, this often raises concerns such as, is every single project going to have a bike lane running down it? Or are we going to have to go run out and build sidewalks on every single street the second that this policy is adopted? No, this is all about sort of integrating this more holistic approach to transportation over time, as well as understanding from a network perspective transportation, understanding that because a bike lane might not be appropriate in one place, as the city moves forward on further transportation projects, they should look to accommodate cyclists elsewhere in order to better create accessible areas within the city. I encourage the members of Board of Works to reach out to the planning department if they have any questions on the full document and to consider the resolution to adopt the policy at a future meeting. Thank you.
Johnny, you want to stay up here for some questions? I think we're not going to take any action on this today. I just want to kind of introduce it. Again, as Johnny said, this really just, I would say, modernizes our approach to transportation and connectivity. Leah from Maycog is on. Leah, do you have any general comments on communities adopting complete streets policies? And Maycog is our planning organization that assists us with transportation considerations as we apply for grants and consider these types of things. They've also helped us with the environmental studies and grants available to handle environmental problems. So Maycog is a big partner. They serve 4 communities and discuss certainly the importance. Leah, good to see you. Would you like to just make a few comments?
Yes. I was just going to say, I didn't come prepared to speak on this topic, so I don't have a list of other communities that have adopted that policy, but I could get that information for you. I'm not the one who generally works on that topic, but it's certainly a priority for Maycog, and we've adopted our own complete streets policy for the projects that we review and help run.
All right, thank you. So, as Johnny suggested, we've kind of already started this. I think when the Ride Walk Master Plan was implemented, was that 2012, 2013, we pretty much identified areas in the community where a lot of these connectors are important. But it's also allowed us to look a little broader within the planning department as new facilities or reconstruction of facilities. I would say Husky Trail is a great example. Market Street's a great example. And what this does is it somewhat just formalizes what we've been doing since that Ride Walk came out. It's my understanding there's no specific requirements. It just kind of sets the expectation when we sit down and look at a road that we have a policy that says, we're going to look at all these things. As an example, Center Street, is it appropriate to put a bike lane on Center Street? No. The Ride Walk Committee has helped us understand we want to keep, the bicycle paths on potentially Market and some of the other east-west, but not on Center. So the city will have that discretion on any road reconstruction or development of new roads to decide how that fits in the overall plan of the Ride Walk Master Plan. And there are no specific requirements. It's just the expectation that we're going to look at that road in the context of the entire system of transportation. And Jeremy and I were talking a little this morning and talked to Justin about this, and even Johnny, we're not just talking bike lanes here. We're talking all forms of transportation. The work Justin's been doing with the Lincoln Street Sidewalk project is a perfect example of this. That's just pedestrian. So we're looking at, all forms of transportation. And what this does, it formalizes the city's approach to transportation. But given the length of this and the involvement of this, I thought it would be important to introduce it, take questions, and then we'll vote at the next meeting on that. So Johnny's here. He's been the architect of this, and Justin through the plan department. Questions?
I really appreciate the efforts to formalize everything. I'm looking at item 3.7. Any efforts, Mayor, short-term, long-term, to communicate with maybe Winona Lake County government, just so they see how we're formalizing it, and then maybe even grow it due to our impact on the, our neighbors and then the county. It just seems like a good thing that I'm wondering if there's potential to even make it bigger. I don't even know if that's the right way to say it or a question, but.
So I think one of the advantages of the Ride Walk Advisory Committee's heavy input into this and long-running input into this is that other neighboring communities have been have had an opportunity to both to see the design process of this document as well as input and how it will sort of interface across the county, across the region. I know that Craig in Winona Lake, for instance, has, he's expressed explicit interest in adopting a similar policy for Winona Lake. And additionally, as Ride Walk continues to work with many, many different communities across the whole area, I do think that's definitely a future for the document.
I think it would be helpful because I was talking to a Winona Lake Town Board member, and we were talking about going north on 15. We weren't talking Winona Lake. We weren't talking the city of Warsaw related to bicycle, all that. And so, again, I would continue to, I appreciate continued efforts like that.
As I said, I think the Ride Walk master plan really is the foundation for this. And it has included surrounding communities as well as the county. So those discussions have been going on in our boardroom upstairs since we put together the Ride Walk Committee, which is primarily deals with the infrastructure of any type of a multimodal transportation initiative. So that's, your point's well taken, and I know Town of Winona Lake has got their own projects, but I think it's all pretty well connected. So.
Yeah, that made me think because as we were talking, you mentioned county elected officials. So here we are, okay, we're Winona Lake, Warsaw, and we're mentioning the county as we're talking about something like this. So again, thanks, Mayor.
Yeah. George, any thoughts, or you all want to just take a little time to?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind just taking a little time between now and the next meeting to look it over, but it sure looks like it's pretty detailed, and I think Jeff has a good point, especially Winona Lake. We're just so intertwined. Hopefully, these things coordinate with, what they're planning and thinking about doing. So.
Yeah, I think it's, and I'm going to ask this question. I don't know, is there favor given to communities that have adopted these policies when you go for funding?
Yes, it's definitely something considered when funding from the state level, especially looking at integrating regional and local connectivity. Trail grants, they gain the opportunity to go from just being, what might be a greenway trail to something that could also involve an urban trail, because the city acknowledges the importance of multimodal transportation. Additionally, it's just something that can be brought up in conversations on state projects and federal projects. The city does have a policy in place, and it is something that should be considered while we are in communication with the state and federal transportation projects.
And I know in talking to Justin, we've got a couple projects that we're considering applying to the next level trails grant from governor in the state of Indiana, and certainly the Complete Streets implementation of that would be, I'm sure, more favorable in that specific instance.
Mm-hmm.
Justin, any comments on that? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No, that's exactly it. And I think that round 3 is in November, is that correct?
I think it opens in November,
So
yes.
we'll have a little bit of time to get this implemented, hopefully, to add that to our application for that round 3.
Great. Any other questions? All right, so we'll be sure that gets on the agenda next month, and thank you very much for the presentation.
Yeah,
Our
thank
next
you.
meeting, which is, today's the 5th.
So there's no action on this to table it?
No.
There's no action?
We'll make action to table it. I asked for a motion to table this.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you, Building and Plan, and Johnny specifically for that presentation.
Was that Jeff that tabled it, that made the motion?
Yes.
Okay.
George seconded. George, you had the second then?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
got it. Thank you.
Thanks, Lynn.
Justin, you're going to present the Anchorage Road right-of-way contract, or is that Jeremy? Okay.
So at the last, or a couple meetings ago, we approved the right-of-way contract with the engineering firm that's doing the appraisals and purchasing. What you have before you now is similar to what you approved for the Lincoln project. It's the right-of-way contract with the state. This will not be signed by you, which hence the display. They went to a digital online signing process that will send it to Joe, and Joe will sign it and send it back to him. But the contract itself, 80-20 match as for the right-of-way engineering part of it, as well as acquisition. I think the state's total funding is in here. I think it's a little over 370-some thousand. That'll be their 80% match, and then we will pay 20% of these pay applications. And this is for both the fees associated with acquiring as well as the acquisition.
Jeremy, just a quick logistics question. When these applications are sent directly to me to sign, I typically assume I should be expedient in signing those. Do those then come to you so that you are aware that it has been signed?
No.
Not necessarily.
I don't think NDOT's really thought through this process, quite frankly. I think with COVID, they just kind of jumped headfirst into
To
it.
do the
They didn't
DocuSign.
really think about what it takes for a community to execute a document. So I don't want to say they're getting the cart before the horse, but obviously they're getting the cart before the horse. They send the contract to me, which allows me to prepare it for you, but then they don't tell me, A, that they sent it to you. I have no idea when they send it to you to get signed. I think they probably need to revise or have something where they send it to me and then I authorize them to send it to the signee or something to that. But as of right now, it's just kind of them out there initiating their own path, and they really haven't communicated with the communities on how that's being done.
Yeah, because then you don't make a copy of it or anything.
No, I
For
have
our
access
records.
to it, but I feel that it shouldn't be signed until the board has officially approved it either. I'm just wondering if I should wait to sign, but I don't want to jeopardize it by not signing.
No,
it.
I think you absolutely can wait to sign, and I think you're going to have to notify us when you get them to make sure that we've gotten a copy to submit to the Board of Works to get approval, and then you sign after that approval. So the Board of Works would give you authority to sign once that approval, and then you would sign and execute it, and that goes directly back to them. Yeah, but they don't indicate to us that it's been sent, other than they send this display to me and kind of give me the rundown of that process, but they don't indicate whether or not it's been sent to you or to the assignee.
So I believe I got this contract March 2nd.
Yep, it's relatively, I got it, yep, this week, I think, right before.
And I signed it right away. So just, we need to, again, with NDOT out there just randomly sending these things out, I want to be respectful of the process.
Right.
And make sure that that's not signed until action is taken. So,
Yeah, attachment A has the actual project funds. It's $374,408. That'll be their 80% match for this segment of the Anchorage Road project.
okay. All right.
So you need action? you need
Yeah, we
a-
definitely need action.
Motion to, okay, check and balance. Okay, so I move to approve.
And I will second that.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, so it's been officially adopted by the Board of Works and signed by the mayor.
Then after you sign it, does the state sign it?
Yeah,
So when do we get a copy of that signed document?
I don't know. This is all a new process. Did they have they sent you a copy?
They'll send us an executed version in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
So technically, if Joe signed it, and until we send it to them, they're not gonna fully execute.
Are you all copied in on my signature request from NDOT? That's the problem.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. All right, we'll work through that.
I would just ask citizen and Board of Works member, very good, Mayor, I agree with you, that legal, Scott, you maybe get in on this, and if not already, I have no idea, but it might be good for you to check into that just to make sure that the mayor and everybody were in good form, so.
This is the second one we've done.
Yeah, going forward, any contract with NDOT will be done this way now. And it's a new, just in the last 3 months. I'm sure a lot of it has to do with COVID, them going to electronic signatures, but certainly they didn't really think about the process itself. They gave us a 3-page memorandum
Detail.
on what they're doing.
Yeah.
They didn't really care how it fit into our system.
Right. Or internal controls.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
all set.
Thank
So
you.
let's move on to the next item, but that is an issue we need to be careful of. Item 16 is the pay application for engineering on the Anchorage Road project. Any comments on that, Jeremy? It's a
Just 80/20 match pay application. We'll pay out the $4,808.60 and then get reimbursed. Currently, the funds are still coming out of edit.
questions,
No, I'll move to approve that payout.
Second.
further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Item 17, this is a electric car charging station from the VW settlement from several years ago. This is also something MACOG helped us with.
Yeah, so this is why Leah's on the line, so
Oh.
hopefully she can jump in here after I give a brief summary of what we're doing. Today I'm requesting the Board of Works acceptance of the electric vehicle charging station grant. This grant was awarded to the city recently. We applied for it at the end of last year in collaboration with our partners at MACOG, so it's a regional grant opportunity. As a reminder, this grant was funded through the Volkswagen settlement, the emissions settlement, and it was administered by IDEM. If approved by the board, this grant would fund $18,000 or up to 90% of the procurement costs and the installation cost of 2 electric vehicle charging stations in our community. Both of the charging stations would be offered free to the public as an amenity to encourage tourism and people to come in downtown, as well as we're looking at a location up by Central Park near the parking lot. We've been working with the Parks Department to find the best spot for that. So I asked Leah to be here today just to field any technical questions that you guys might have from the board. She's been dealing with the other MACOG communities to make sure we're all on the same page, and she's really knowledgeable about the charging stations and how that plays out once they're implemented. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions or concerns.
Well, I have a question. So the grant will be for $18,000 if we get all of it, what we're asking for?
So they'll fund up to, so if the cost to install the stations is lower, they'll pay up to 90% of the installation and purchasing costs for those charging stations. So say some of the unknowns is when you get into how we install them in the exact location. We may have to, the farther away from the utility you get, the more the cost is going to be, or if you have to cut into a sidewalk, or if you have to do a few different things. So the best of our ability, we calculated those costs for the install and came up with that $30,000 figure. So that gives us, and they had a max of, I believe, $9,000 for each station. So, so hopefully that helps explain how we got to those numbers.
Leah, have these been deployed in other MACOG communities?
Yes, there is one open to the public in Goshen and a couple in South Bend that are in the region. And there are other privately owned stations like at Notre Dame, at Four Winds Casino. But generally those only serve one location and they're not very walkable and they're not really promoting tourism. So the ones that are in a downtown location really have other benefits. Not necessarily to the electric vehicle driver alone, but just trying to get more people to come and spend several hours downtown shopping, eating. And then as well as another good thing about having these in downtown locations throughout the region is that some townhomes, condos, apartments that are being built in the core of downtown, they don't have a way for those tenants to, if they have an electric vehicle, to charge. So that'll help with attracting and retaining the type of tenants who might want that kind of ability.
All right. Well, it's a certainly good opportunity to get our feet wet. I think there are a few charging stations in the community. I think Grace has a couple. I think out at the Wyndham Garden, there's a couple out there.
One of the dealerships.
Yeah, there's a few around, so this kind of gives a public utilization to that.
And the hope is by putting them close to downtown to create that interest in tourism and just people coming off 30 and stopping, as well as residents, offering it to residents as well.
So the layman in me says maybe one in this lot here and one in Central Park. Get people, something like that.
We're looking close to the courthouse, trying to keep it as
Right.
close to downtown as we can. So right now, we found a location on the north side of the courthouse that looks like it may check some of those
Okay.
boxes, but it doesn't mean we can't evaluate those locations a little closer as well.
And Central Park's being considered too?
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
okay.
The west side of Central Park, there's a parking lot that's oriented north-south, and we're looking at that location.
West side, okay, I
Yep.
see that. All right. Thank you.
I just have a diagram pulled up on my screen if you would like to see those proposals. I don't know if I can, the organizer might need to enable that.
Is that what you present? Yeah. Now you're putting me on the spot, Leah. Which is fine.
Joe's a techie.
He's learning to be one, isn't
The
he?
techie,
That's okay if not, Justin has that information.
There you go.
We can follow up. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
So that might be very small for you, I'm not sure. You see the screen?
The mayor will blow that up, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's about it. Wait.
You blow it up. You blow it up, all right.
How's that for the Central Park location?
Yeah.
Can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we were trying to look anywhere where there's existing electrical service, just to keep the installation costs as low as possible. So there's an electrical box there. That would really keep the cost down. And then the second location that Justin mentioned, we do need, to the extent possible, to make these ADA accessible to drivers that have that need. So putting them next to the existing ADA spot would be great, because someone could park in that spot, was an ADA driver and still use the station there. So, and there are some other issues on the existing meter that need to be resolved, but the good news about this location is that NIPSCO thought that they would cover the cost of the transformer that would be needed when the engineer came out and did a site visit. So supply side costs should be minimal, which was another good reason to have it right here. But other alternatives can be evaluated.
All right, any other questions?
No. Nice that it's a grant project, where we get matching grant. Do you want a motion on that?
Please.
Or I'll move we accept the agreement.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Thanks, Justin, and thank you, Leah, for your, I called on you earlier, but you're a jack of all trades. You were able to answer both areas of concern, so appreciate your complete streets knowledge as well as the electric charging station. Thank you.
I was also told that Culver has a complete streets policy and Plymouth, so those are two I think I left out.
All right.
They already have policies.
Yeah, I did know Plymouth did. Great. All right, thank you. Have a good weekend.
All right. Bye.
All right, Justin, you're still up. We've got a parking lease agreement with Instrumedical, which is up on the north side of the park. Is that
Correct. So this is, the location is 615 north of Troy Street, just south of the Instrumed building. It's the same lease agreement that we've had in the past, so in the same cost, or the same price that we'd be charging them for the use of that parking, that southern portion of the parking lot. And this lease agreement would extend from May 2021 through May 19th, 2026. So it's basically a carbon copy of the last lease agreement we had with them.
So it's about $1,000 a year? Is that how I'm reading that?
Yeah, about.
The ballpark? It's a 5-year agreement for $6 grand. Am I looking at the right thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So 1,200?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And there haven't been any issues as far as I'm aware with that agreement in the past, so it seems like it would work well in the future.
All right, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. This is another pay application for the Lincoln Sidewalk project.
Yeah, and the next three items are all based, are all from that project, so I don't know if you guys want to consider 19, 20, and 21 together, but they're all three pay applications for the Lincoln Neighborhood Sidewalk project. One is for the right-of-way services portion of the contract, so that's pay application number 2 for $11,891, or $96.25. And then the next two are for the preliminary engineering. We're wrapping up that portion of the project, and those both are for $1,340.
And they're all to the same vendor for engineering services for the same project. Are there any questions or concerns to considering these items 19, 20, and 21?
I move to approve all three.
I will second that.
All right, further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Justin. Joel, this is a request to participate in a stop arm violation enforcement grant.
Police Department is seeking permission to apply for 2 grants. The first one is the Stop Arm Violation Enforcement Grant. This will pay for officers who are off duty to enforce traffic law in school zones and also around buses. It is non-matching funds. We're working with, again, with Winona Lake and Kosciuszko County Traffic Safety Partnership. We're expecting about $12,000 for the city, and again, it's non-matching funds. I'm just seeking permission to apply.
So 12,000, I think on the first one, it looked like the second one, there was a $20,000 city portion on the CHIRP grant.
Yes, so this is, Indiana Criminal Justice Institute has, they were going from having grants late to all of a sudden we're hurrying up for next year. So this is actually for 2022, for applying for Operation Pullover and DUI, and it's all included into one grant called the CHIRP.
I
And
see.
we're expecting $20,000 for the city's portion in the non-matching funds.
All right, let's consider these separately since they're different years. Let's start with the first one, the stop arm violation grant.
I'll move we approve applying for that.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And the next item, 23, the CHIRP grant, same thing for 2022.
I'll move to approve that too.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thanks, Joel.
Thank you.
All right, street department, permission to purchase a side load garbage truck.
The fun stuff. So, no, this is just a requesting permission to purchase a new one-arm garbage truck. Came across a kind of specialty deal that they actually have the truck available. Just talked to them again earlier this week, and we could potentially see it as early as the end of March. So it's kind of a unique opportunity as well on that, but just asking permission to kind of update some equipment and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously a big part of what we do, and I know our original side loader was, how old's that now?
5 years old. It's a 2000. It was purchased in 2016, so it's a 2015 year model.
It gets quite a workout,
And you'll rotate those as you're...
Yeah, the plan is right now, just the manufacturer's recommendations are to give these things a break and not run them just to death, basically. This has been going on with the other one just because it was the only automated truck we have. We are keeping the old truck. We're not going to trade it in. With the purchase of this new one, we plan on putting it on a rotation or running the new one Monday, Wednesday, Friday, running the old one Tuesday and Thursday to give our mechanics teams a little bit more time to protect the equipment and do a little more preventive maintenance a week and not overload us. And hopefully, the goal is to extend the life out of both of these trucks as well. So,
So it makes sense to have a
Questions?
backup plan. And it's a lot of money, but it's needed and replaces quite a bit of manpower, I assume, right?
yeah, I mean, take the automated truck versus the rear load trucks is a difference of 1 employee versus 3. Plus all the workman's comp accidents and the back strains and the muscle spasm. Just the overall safety of it as well. You're sitting in the cab protected from the traffic, everything else. So it's kind of a win-win for our guys all around.
I think, yeah, the issues, I remember one of the days it was my pit, and it broke down, and that can really cause trouble for you.
Yeah, we've had a few breakdowns on the truck that it definitely puts havoc on our guys to catch back up. It's so much faster, so much more efficient, more productive than what we can be on our own. So it cover a lot of ground pretty quick.
I move to accept.
The purchase, I will second that.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Stormwater, Center Lake Restoration, say, agreement with Cardno.
Yeah, so this would be a design proposal for your guys' approval for 900 linear feet of shoreline, just south of Center Lake, as well as on the east side, a little bit north of the beach. This is following up the recent shoreline stabilization that occurred by the Buffalo Street Plaza project, and since this is outside the scope of the initial project, we have to get different permits for these sections. But we would like to get this prepared and done within this year in lieu of the Buffalo Street Plaza project.
Is this same vendor you've used in the past?
For the design work, yes.
Okay.
So this is the same engineering group that we use for the Pike Lake. So they'll, again, like this last process, will be with us on from concept all the way through bid support.
James, anything to weigh in on this group? Were you satisfied with them through their, okay, that's helpful. Good. All right,
Move to approve. I'll second that.
all right, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Again, item 26 requires no action. So we'll move on to, doesn't appear to be any special claims today. So we'll move to the claims docket.
There's 3 of them.
3 as presented. Pension and,
I already got several questions answered, so I don't see anything in there.
No, I don't.
is that a motion to approve, George?
So moved.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, any other items come before the board? All right, thank you for your patience. Oh, I'm sorry, Justin?
One last thing. I just wanted to publicly acknowledge Johnny, our assistant planner. Today was his last day. He put in his resignation a couple weeks ago because he wanted to move back to Ohio to be closer to his family. But I just wanted to publicly acknowledge the amount of work he's done in the last year has been great, and we really enjoyed working with him. So, yeah, I just wanted to thank him for all that.
Justin, I appreciate that. We've all seen Johnny's really worked hard, and I'm sure will do well wherever he ends up. But he's really gotten in there, and I'm sure given you some relief. So, all right. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, thank you.